I want to find out what type of defensive signals you guys play. And if you don't play any, you just say, you know, my partner doesn't play any signals. We don't do that kind of thing. But it'll help me with the discussion of our hands today if I get a general idea of what kind of signals are out there as a group. And so we'll start with our first poll. Can everybody hear me? Let's just make sure everybody's there and you can hear me. Okay. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, here's our first poll. The question is, what do you lead against a suit contract holding the ace, the king, the 8, and the 3? So if you held this suit, I'm just telling you, you're leading from the ace, king, 8, 3. Would you lead the ace, the king, the 8, or the 3? And I'm sort of thinking that there's really only two answers. So if you're asking yourself, well, who in the world would lead the 3 or the 8? The good news is no one is answering that. And there are no wrong answers here. This is a style thing. It really depends on when you took up this game, who your instructor is, what part of the country you live in, or what part of the world you live in. And most all of them, let's see, we've got a couple more seconds to go ahead and answer. And I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share with you the results. So 96% of you would lead the ace, which is very, very, very common nowadays. And 4% of you would lead the king. And again, this isn't a right or wrong thing. It's sort of who you learn from, where you learn, that kind of thing. Nowadays, the common, almost undiscussed, is if you were leading versus a suit contract, you lead ace from ace king. But that's just a trick one idea. Once you're in the middle of the hand, you actually lead king from ace king. It's interesting because way, way, way back when, in the early 1900s in North America, the idea was you lead ace from ace king all the time. And then in the 50s, 60s, early 70s, everyone said, oh, you know what? We need to lead king from ace king at trick one or throughout the hand. And both sides were really right because there are times when you want to be able to lead the ace from ace king and times when you want to be able to lead the king from ace king. So the modern expert kind of thing, what we do out here on the trail is we lead ace from ace king at trick one at the 4 level and below. Okay. So if the contract is, say, 5 clubs and you were holding the ace king, then you would lead king from ace king, or say it's 6 clubs or 7 clubs, anything above the 4 level. The idea being that if you hold an ace and they've bid to the 5, 6, or 7 level, you'd like to be able to lead that ace and not be promising the king. Okay, so at trick one, if the contract, it depends on where the contract is. I didn't even put that in the poll. That's how tricky this question really was. It depends on the contract. If it's 4 level or below, so 1, 2, 3, 4 level, then you would lead ace from ace king. If it's 5 or 6 or 7 level, then you lead king from ace king. There's 2 other examples. If your side is bid and raised a suit, right? You'd like to be able to lead the ace at trick one because your partner has bid the suit and not be promising the king. All right, so 5 level or higher, king from ace king. Partners bid the suit or you bid the suit, your side has bid the suit, king from ace king. And otherwise, it's ace from ace king at trick one. And in the middle of the hand, you switch to king from ace king. Logic again, okay, to help you remember when you do all of this, because it's like, oh my gosh, I thought I knew when to lead the ace, right? In the middle of the hand, sometimes there is say there's a suit set up in dummy, and you're wanting to see if you have any tricks in a side suit. Well, you'd like to be able to lead the ace of that suit and not be promising the king, right? When partners trying to figure out how to signal, in today's hands, you see up on our topics for today, is signaling third hand, right? In order for partner to be able to signal third hand, they have to know what your lead is promising, okay? If you're leading the ace promising the king, then they're going to signal positively with the queen. If you're leading the king promising the ace or promising the queen, well, now they have some other options, okay? If you're leading the ace not promising the king, say you're defending 5 diamonds, okay? Now they're not going to signal positive with the queen because you're no longer promising the king, right? So one leads to the other. So we need to know our opening lead rules, and so that our third hand can know how to signal. Okay, so that was our first poll. Let's try our second poll. Here it comes. Ready? What kind of defensive signals do you play? I'll give you about a minute to answer. Standard, upside down, Italian, the usual. I'm getting some responses for the usual. I like that. For about 30 more seconds. And I have someone who says no sound here. Is everybody's able to hear me? It may be that your sound is off on your computer. We're taking a poll right now. Question is, what type of defensive signals do you play? First is standard. Next is upside down. Third is Italian. And fourth is the usual. All right. And let me go ahead and close this poll here. And I'll show you the results. 62% say they play standard. 27% say upside down. None of you said Italian. That's very good. I actually threw that one in more as a joke because I was looking for a fourth answer. You know, one of the cheating pairs that got busted was a pair from Italy, and they were signaling by the way they held their card. So I was really hoping that none of you chose that, which you didn't. That was just a really bad joke on my part. And then the fourth choice was 11% said the usual. Okay, and I get asked this a lot in newer classes when people say, my opponent has asked me what kind of signals I play, right? And we're just learning how to open the bid, so we don't really even know what a signal is, much less what kind of signal we play. So I usually tell people, just say normal or the usual or standard. So I think that's where the usual has come from. And again, nobody plays Italian, so that's good because that was put up as just sort of a little joke there. Okay, so for the most part, and this is another interesting question because it depends on what country you live in, whether you play standard or upside down. If you are from Europe, their upside down, our upside down is their standard, and our standard is their upside down. So it's quite interesting when you ask them what signals they play. We actually in international competition don't say standard or upside down. We say high-low is encouraging, or low-high is encouraging, so that whether you're from the United States or Europe or Asia or one of the other places, our understanding is, okay, low-high means I don't like it, which would be standard in our system. High-low would be I like it. And in Europe, they do the opposite. So just know when you travel over there or travel on a cruise or something, make sure that you clarify what they really mean when they say standard, because their standard is our upside down. And there are pluses and minuses to playing both of those. I always say, and I encourage everyone, until you're fluent in standard, right? You're reading your opponent's cards, you're reading your partner's cards, you're interpreting them. And we're going to be doing a lot of that in today's seminar. I've set it up so that partner's going to play a card, and we're going to work on interpreting what their card means. For the webinar this morning, we're going to be talking in standard. Okay, so those that have gone on to upside down, think as far as our discussion today, high spot card says we like it, low spot card says we don't like it, high-low says we have an even number, and low-high says we have an odd number. And if you guys are just getting, some of you are just getting into signaling, when we get to those hands, I'll repeat that kind of thing. So by the end of the webinar, we'll all be talking about the same idea. Another point with the hands today, if you play upside down, there are certain times where you do still play right side up. And when we get to those hands, I'll try to make a point of, for those playing upside down, this would still be, in fact, a standard right side up signal, which makes it even more confusing. So we'll take those as they come along. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with our hands. And while we've got the hand, well, we'll just bring the first hand up here. All right. Now, the last time I did this defense webinar, I didn't put all of the seat positions there. And honestly, it was a little confusing to me on occasion. So if it was confusing to me, I'm sure a lot of you guys had some issues with the white space. So this week, I've made sure that all four hands will always be there. South will always be declare, and north will be dummy. And we'll either be sitting in west or east chair. Whichever hand is there completely, that's the chair you're sitting in, and we're interpreting the other played card. All right, so hand number one, and you see in the top left-hand corner where it says number one, neither vulnerable, that's the hand number. So if your sheets are all out of order, put them in order by the hand number. So this is hand number one. We're sitting west, and the bidding, all important bidding, okay, we're going to start from the very top. What all great defenders do is review the bidding, because sometimes there's clues in the bidding. South here passes, west passes, north passes, east, that's our partner, because, right, we're all sitting west. East opens one diamond, south overcalls one heart. We respond to spade. Playing negative doubles, that would be promising 5 spades there, by the way, just as a note. And then north bids 2 hearts, and it goes all pass. That the AP in the bidding box means all pass, just a safe space there. And we're on opening lead. All right, so our general rule is when partner bids a suit, unless we're dead, meaning we have no pulse, or we're void, meaning we have no cards in that suit, we're leading partner suit. All right, I love it when partner bids, because now I don't have to worry about what suit I'm leading. I just have to make the decision of what card I'm going to lead within that suit. If it's wrong to have led that suit, then perhaps partner shouldn't have bid that suit. Knowing this is an opening bid, though, their choices were very restrained. More so on overcalls when they were optional whether they were to overcall or not. And that's why you really want to have at least one honor in the suit you overcall, because partner will be leading that suit. So in this case, we start with the ace of diamonds. All right, with doubleton, you lead top of a doubleton. And dummy comes down. Now we're talking standard signals. At trick 1, your general rule is that your signal is attitude. Okay, there's 3 types of signals: attitude, count, and suit preference. And they go in that priority. Now today's hands, we're going to be looking at exceptions to all of those. But as a general basis, from the starting point, your first signal would be attitude, okay, when partner's leading the suit. If the opponent is leading the suit, your first signal is actually count. Because a logic point there is we assume that if the declarer is leading the suit, our side doesn't like it. So we don't need to play a spot card to say, no, really, partner, I don't like it. Okay, that's redundant. It's a waste of a signal. So when the declarer is leading a suit, we assume that our side does not like it, and we default to the second type of signal, which is count. Okay, so attitude is our first choice. If partner doesn't know our attitude, we give attitude. And by the way, bidding the suit is not attitude. I get that question a lot. Well, I bid it so partner knows I like it. No, it doesn't work that way. You still have to use your spot card to say, I like this suit. Next signal is count. If count is known or irrelevant, then your signal is suit preference. Today's workshop, we're going to be focusing on attitude and count and the exceptions to those. General rules, we won't get so much into suit preference in today's webinar. We'll save that for the future. Okay, so we get the ace of diamonds lead, and I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to interpret that 5. What do you think partner is trying to tell you there? So just take a minute and look at the spot cards and let me know what you're thinking, because that helps me guide the conversation if you talk to me there. If you don't know where to talk, there's a on your control panel where it says questions. You can type your answers there, and I can see them. I know the audience can't see them. When you're typing questions, I try to repeat them and then answer them. So anytime throughout the webinar, if something comes to mind, if you're thinking about it, someone else is probably thinking about it. So put your answers out there. I don't call out anybody's name. It's totally anonymous. And we're all here to learn. We aren't here to get, it's not a gotcha, aside from my Italian answer on the poll today, but I couldn't resist that. And so I'm getting a lot of responses of, the big question is this encouraging or discouraging, okay? If you think it's discouraging, right, from West's perspective, then East would be saying lead something else. Look at dummy and lead something else, okay? If you think that the 5 is encouraging, then East is saying, okay, great, we found our suit partner, keep leading diamonds. All right, so let's take a look at the spot cards. South, the first trick went ace of diamonds. I've underlined the first trick. Ace of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds. Right? So what we're missing, we're looking below the 5. We can see the 2 from West's perspective because South played it. We're missing the 3, we're missing the 4, and we can see the 5 because that's what partner played. We can see the 6 because we're holding it. Remember, we're sitting in West's chair, and we're missing the 7. Okay, so there's 2 cards missing below partner's 5, and there's 1 card missing above partner's 5. So here's your general rule for those taking notes. When you're interpreting partner's signal, and you're missing 2 cards below, 2 missing spot cards below partner's played card. Here, in this case, it's the 3 and the 4. There is an assumption that partner's signal is attitude. Okay, there's an assumption that partner's signal is encouraging. It is always an attitude signal, excuse me. It is assumption that partner's attitude is that they like the suit. Okay, so if I were leading the ace of diamonds on this hand and I saw partner play the 5 and I was missing the 3 and the 4, then I would continue playing the suit. I would say there's an assumption that partner likes the suit. Now remember, partner also opened a diamond, so they have at least 4 of those diamonds to choose from, right? So if they had the 4, they could have played it. If they had the 3, they could have played it. If they had the 7, they could have played it. Okay, so and when you're making your signals to partner and you've got choices of spots, right? We'll actually talk about in count situations when you have choices of which spots to play. But in attitude situations, you want to play the highest spot card you can spare. Now, when I say that, what I mean is when you're holding, say, like ace 9 6 2. Well, sometimes that 9 might be valuable. So you don't want to be signaling with it unless, say, there's only 2 cards in the dummy and it's a suit contract. Well, now you don't need that 9. Now you want to be as clear as possible. Okay, don't torture partner. As we can see from this 5, just in this example, it's hard enough to interpret the signal without partner hiding spot cards on you. Okay, so be a good partner and throw the highest spot card that you can spare out there to make your signal as clear as possible. Now, I said when there's 2 cards below the spot card partner plays, it's an assumption. When there's 1 card missing, it's probable that your partner, it's presumable that your partner is signaling a high attitude. The problem with only 1 missing, though, is that occasionally that nasty declarer, they're hiding that spot card on you so that you can't tell for sure whether partner is signaling an encouraging signal or discouraging signal. But in our case here, where we have 2 missing spot cards, we're going to interpret that 5 as an encouraging signal and continue the suit. Let me show you what I've also done in this week's webinar is I had quite a few requests to see the whole hand, to see the whole big picture. So at the end of each hand discussion, I've actually put the entire hand out. Actually, there's a second point on this hand before we go. Let me tell you, okay, since defense is all about visualization, right? The first trick went ace of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds. And let's go back to the beginning. Okay, the first thing we do is review the auction. The second thing we do is we check out to see how many points partner has on this auction. Okay, the opponents, when the opponents are playing at the 2 level, we subtract from 19. We subtract our high card points from 19. I know you guys don't usually hear me talking about high card points, but this on defense is where you can talk about high card points. When the opponents are at the 2 level, meaning they didn't even try to get to game, right? They didn't move towards game by bidding 3 hearts or make a game try and end up in 3 hearts. They're in 2 hearts. So what we take from that is they have approximately 21 high card points because they didn't move towards game. So it's unlikely they have 23 or 24. If they have 21, then our side has 19. So when our opponents are in the 2 level, 1 or 2 level, we subtract our high card points from 19. Okay, so West here is holding 7 high card points. So that means that our partner has, wow, almost close to an opening hand, right? If we're subtracting from 19, then partner's got around 12 high card points. Give or take a point, but that gives us an estimate. Now, if we go, let's fast forward a couple of tricks here. Ace of diamonds, everyone follows. We decide it's an encouraging signal and we continue with the 6 of diamonds. It goes 9 of diamonds. East plays the queen of diamonds. Now you're going to have to visualize this, okay? East plays the queen of diamonds and South follows. And then East cashes the king of diamonds, okay? And South follows, which means you get a discard, okay? Now, if partner's got around 12 points and we've only seen 5 of them, right? The king and the queen of diamonds, then we've got some other honors in partner's hand. So be creative. This is why I love defense so much, is that you get to use your imagination. I'm going to give you about 20 seconds and think about your discard. What could be an interesting discard on this hand? Okay, and when you get your answer, go ahead and write it up in the questions box so I can see what you're thinking about. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think right here. So take some time. Think about what you would discard. It's gone ace of diamonds all low, small diamond to the queen and then the king, and then South discards on the king of diamonds and you get a discard. All right, so I'm getting a lot of, if you were to throw a club, We'll just start through all of the suits, okay? On your first discard, you discard attitude. And again, we're discussing standard attitude just across the board for the webinar. So those that play upside down, you do the opposite of what I'm saying here. If you were to discard a club, I would very much discard the 8 of clubs to say, partner, I've got something in the club suit, right? If I were to discard a heart, I would discard the 3 to say, okay, partner, hearts are not my suit this time. If I were to discard, oh, excuse me, hearts are trump. excuse me. But if hearts were a side suit, I would discard the 3 to say I don't like it. But hearts are trump and partner's winning the trick. So we are not going to play a heart. If I were to discard a spade, I would discard the 2 of spades, okay? And you have options. General rule is when you're defending a no trump that you discard from the suits you don't like. And that's logical, right? If you don't like a suit, you can spare the card, okay? If you are defending against a suit contract, then the idea is to discard from the suit that you like, because the likelihood of that suit going around a 3rd time, right? Odds are a suit in a suit contract will go around 1 time, 2 times, and then the 3rd time, someone at the table is going to be roughing, whether it's your partner or declarer or the dummy, okay? So there is no need to hold on to lots of cards in a suit contract to give your signal there, because you won't be discarding a trick because somebody will be trumping, right? So here, our choices would be to discard the 2 of spades or the 8 of clubs. And based on what I just said there, we want to get our signal across. We've got one chance to tell partner, spades or clubs. Now the dummy spades are very daunting here. Okay, so it would be very unusual for partner to switch to a spade on this hand. But if we told partner to switch to a spade, even looking at that dummy, partner should switch to a spade. All right, we have to trust partner signals. If they tell us to switch to a spade, we switch to a spade. Maybe we're trumping, okay? Probably not on this particular auction, but there are situations where the dummy's got strength in a suit and partner signals for it. If it's a suit contract, it probably means they're about to trump, okay? So we've got a couple of choices, either the 2 of spades or the 8 of clubs. What card could partner have? All right, here's your next assignment, your next question. These are things I think about while I'm defending. So hopefully if I share my thoughts with you when you're on defense, you'll come up with these questions as well. I ask myself, okay, I know partner has approximately 12 high card points, and I know 5 of those high card points. So partner's got about 7 other high card points in their hand. What card would I love for partner to have? What would work with my hand best? If partner could have any card in their hand that would work with my cards, what card would that be? Right. We would love for partner to have the ace of clubs, right? Now, let's go a step further. If we signal an encouraging club here and partner has the ace of clubs, right? Once partner's king of diamonds wins the trick, right? We've played three cards to the first trick, right? Ace of diamonds, low diamond to the queen, king of diamonds, and now we're discarding. If we discard the 8 of clubs now, that's clear, right? We could discard the 2 of spades and say we don't like spades, and maybe we've got something somewhere else. But if we discard the 8 of clubs, that says we definitely have an honor in this suit, okay? And if East is sitting there looking at the ace of clubs, that honor will be the king, okay? We're not usually signaling a high signal to say we've got the queen or the jack or something like that. Generally, it's I've got the ace or a king in this suit. So at trick 4, East could lead a low club over to our king. We return our only 3 of clubs left, right? Remember we signaled with the 8 of clubs over to partner's ace, and then we get a club ruff, right? That's the bigger picture, the bigger picture. So let me show you the whole hand so that you can see the layout here. right? Take a look at this. I'll give you a second to look it over, right? Ace of diamonds led. Everybody followed. Low diamond to the queen. Everyone followed. East cashes the king of diamonds. And here's where we make our brilliant discard of the 8 of clubs, right? So now our side's taken 3 tricks. East, looking at the ace of clubs, would assume that West has the king of clubs with that 8 of clubs. That 8 of clubs is it's pretty much demanding a club. It's saying, okay, let's get clubs going here, partner. East then underleads their ace, okay? I rarely will tell you to underlead your ace here, but underlead your ace of clubs over to partner West's king, and West would return their now lonely 3 of clubs, because they signaled with the 8, back over to East's ace, and then East would give West a ruff. West would trump the club lead, okay? And a question is, how do you make sure partner returns a club? The best you can do is to play the 8 of clubs and hope that partner is watching your signals, right? That's what defense is all about, is using the cards, using the spot cards, I should say, not the cards like all of our cheating friends across the world have been doing the last 15 years, using our spot cards to talk with our partner to guide the defense. Right? So the 8 of clubs, let's see, from East's perspective, East could see the 2 of clubs in the dummy. They're missing the 3. They're missing the 5, right? They can see the 6 and the 7. So the 8 they would take as encouraging because they're missing at least 2 of the lower cards. Okay? So you would underlead your ace over to the king and then back. You see how I'm looking at all the spot cards, right? I would love to be able to tell you that anything higher than a 6 is encouraging and anything lower than a 6 is discouraging, and the 6 is I don't know what to do, right? But you don't always hold those cards. So you absolutely have to look at the spot cards in the dummy, the spot cards in your hand, what spot card declare plays on the trick to interpret partner's signal. One other question we had on this hand is what as declarer, right? When I was talking about sometimes those declarers hide spot cards, what you're supposed to do is you want to find out what your opponent's signal is, and this is sort of a high level thing, so if you want to turn me off for just a few seconds here, figure out what your opponent's cards are, if their signals are. If they're playing standard signals, okay, so high card says they like it, low card says they don't like it, then you signal as if you're playing their signals, okay? So if you don't like the signal, if you don't like it, then you play the opposite card of what you want to do. So you want to hide spot cards so that they can't tell partner what to do, right? So you signal as they would signal. If you don't like it, then you play your higher spot cards to hide the lower spot cards to confuse the opponent. If they do like it, then you play your lower spot cards because then they don't like it, right? So you play the opposite of what they're about to signal so that you hide the card. But that's a whole nother. We could do deceptive cards. I have a lesson on the website of declare deceptive cards. We can do that one week of how to hide the ball is what we call it. Let's see. Oh, and when you're returning the club, I've got some questions on whether you would return the 4 of clubs, the 6 of clubs, or the 7 of clubs. Okay. When you are leading a suit in the middle of the hand, you're breaking a new suit. Okay, right? We played 3 diamonds at the first 3 tricks, and we're breaking a new suit. In that secondary suit, if you like the suit, you lead a low spot card. If you don't like the suit, you lead a high spot card. In this case, we actually like clubs. We would like for partner to return clubs if they win this trick, trick number 4 here. So here we'd want to return the 4 of clubs, right? Which looks like I don't like it. This is we get confused, right? If we're signaling, the 4 of clubs would say we don't like it. But remember what East is doing is leading to the suit. Okay, East is leading to the suit. So you want to lead a low card to encourage partner to return it. A high spot card says, I don't have anything in the suit. I'm just doing what you wanted me to do. There's no future for us if you're depending on me to have a card in that suit. Okay. If you didn't have the ace, in other words, then you'd return the 7. And that's a good question. Okay. Let's go ahead on to our next hand. And here, hand number 2. South opens 2 hearts. West passes, North bids 4 hearts, and it goes all pass. By the way, you guys that know me, the first thing I did when I landed in London was run to a Starbucks. It was very sad though, in Heathrow, in one of the terminals, the terminal I was in, it happened to be, Starbucks got bought out by another coffee place. And so I had to go change terminals to find a Starbucks before my next flight. But I did have, I don't know, 9 hours in Heathrow for my next flight. So I had time to go to get my Starbucks and come back. Okay, hand number 2 here. 2 hearts past 4 hearts. We're sitting in West. North is dummy. And we decide to lead the ace of spades. Okay, and leading ace from ace king. At trick 1 only, as we discussed earlier. And the first trick goes 9 of spades from dummy, 2 of spades from east, 10 of spades from south. All right, so if we're interpreting partner signal, what would we think East, does East like this or not? Playing standard. No. The 2, we love the 2, right? We love the 2 because it's very clear. We don't have to go looking for any spots to see if there's any lower spots here, right? But here's our first exception. I told you today was a webinar on exceptions. On the lead of the ace, right? West has led the ace of spades. When there's queen third or better in the dummy, when the queen is in the dummy, is another way of looking at it. If it's queen doubleton, we're not discussing that. But if it's a potential of cashing the king of spades and setting the queen up, okay? So queen third, queen fourth, when the queen is in the dummy, right? That's your general rule. Attitude is you're giving count here, right? We're not going to give attitude anymore because, well, the ace is showing the king and the queen is in dummy. So the only thing East has to tell West, say this is a suit contract because we're in 4 hearts, okay? The only thing East has to tell West is if they would be trumping the 3rd round of the trick, okay? So since we're signaling attitude in a way, but what we're really doing is giving count, okay? We're giving count to partners so they know whether we can rough the 3rd round or not. So let's say partner played the 7 of spades instead of the 2, okay? Looking at the spot cards I can see, I'd be missing the 2, the 3, the 5, and then the 7 would be played, right? So I would interpret partner signal as a high-low, that they're going to go high-low out, okay? So on the ace of spades, if partner plays the 2, I'm going to switch, okay? In this case, the diamonds look daunting. Trumps are the heart suit, so I would switch to clubs, right? I use the dummy as the guide when I'm trying to figure out what to switch to. All right, so on this hand, partner's playing the 2, so I would think they have 3. They could have 1. I get that question. Okay, when you're trying to decide if partner has a singleton or not, ask yourself, okay, assuming East has only 1, how many would that give South, right? West has 4, North has 3, that's 7. East, assuming 1, okay, it would be 8. That would give South 5 spades. And South opened 2 hearts. Okay, so not likely that South has 5 spades. So you can throw the singleton. What if it's a singleton out the door? Okay. Then if you're interpreting it as not a singleton, then it's 3 or 5. Okay. In either case, partner won't be roughing. Okay. Partner won't be roughing. And it's an emergency type of situation, right? We have aggressive defensives and passive defensives. In this case, if we were to cash our king of spades, okay, we'd get our king of spades, but now we're setting the queen of spades up in the dummy for a potential, say, club discard. Okay, so we need to keep our king of spades so that the queen of spades isn't good, attack the suit that we have values in, right? Try to set up the cards in our suit that we have tricks in before we set up the cards in the opponent's suit, in the declare suit here, in the spades. Now, I've got a question about odd, even and odd, even. That's a discard. You wouldn't play odd even on a following a suit. But yes, the 2 would be showing an odd number, and a high spot card, say the 7, like I was discussing, would be showing an even number. So I think that may be what you're asking there. So yeah, the 2 would be showing 1, 3, or 5, and the 7, or a high spot card, I gave the 7 as an example, would be showing an even number. So 2, 4, or 6. 6 is not possible. That would mean there's 15 spades in the deck, so that wouldn't be likely. Yeah, so low shows odd, high shows even, because we're discussing standard count and attitude in the webinar. For those that play upside down, you've got the opposite thinking on this. It would be the same as your signal would be normally. Okay, so let's take a look at the full hand. While this is coming up, I had a question on an aggressive dummy. An aggressive defense is a strong dummy, and a passive defense is a weak dummy. Now, I wish it was that simple. I guess in a way, an aggressive defense is when dummy has a source of tricks. So yeah, a strong dummy, I guess you could define it that way. And a passive defense is when dummy is balanced or doesn't have a source of tricks, right? This I would think is an aggressive defense, and we'd be breaking the club suit because of dummy's diamonds and also because of the queen of spades in this suit. So here's your whole hand. And as you can see, if we were to continue with the king of spades, and my dog wants out. If we were to continue with the king of spades, setting up the queen of spades, and then switch to a club, look at that. We lose our timing, right? We lose our timing because now when we switch to a club at trick 3, say we take the ace of spades, take the king of spades, and now switch to a club, declarer can win the ace of clubs, pull trump, end up in dummy, and on the queen of spades, throw a club away, right? So in this case, we've got to get our 2 club tricks, get our 2 spade tricks. If they throw a diamond away, then we get 2 clubs. If they throw a club away, then we get a club and a diamond, right? Either way, whichever direction that declarer decides to take. Declare, oh yes, on this hand for sure, declare would rough the king of spades and set up the queen of spades. So what we have to do is get our 1 spade trick, our 1 diamond trick, and our 2 club tricks, right? So it would be bad all the way around if we took our king of spades. And notice here that 2 was actually showing 5 spades. just to get you guys to visualize what's in your partner's hand. When I say 3 spades or 5 spades, here's an example of where it was a 5th spade. Okay, let's move on to the next hand. And take a look at this hand. You're west. Check out the bidding. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to think about the defense before we talk about it. So review the bidding. And you see the first lead is 2 of spades, 10 of spades, 6 of spades, king of spades. Think about what's going on in that spade suit. All right, here we go. 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no, 3 no. So South is showing 22 to 24. That's in standard system. I know some of us play other systems out there. And North could have bid 3 clubs. They could have bid transfers, right? They bid 3 no. And so our opening lead, I'll just discuss the opening lead real quick before we get into what the first trick means. North could have in the auction stamened, and they didn't. So I would not expect a 4-card major to be coming down in dummy. There is that exception out there when you're 4-3-3, you don't stamen. But 4-3-3 hands are way down on the list of hands that are going to happen. So in this case, we're going to lead a spade or lead a major. And you generally lead when you've got 4-4 in the majors. You generally lead the stronger major. So that's how we got to the 2 of spades here. So it goes 2 of spades, 10 of spades, and East plays the 6 of spades, and South wins the king. All right, so what is East 6 of spades telling us? What spot cards are we missing? We're missing the 3 of spades, the 4 of spades, the 5, oh no, the 5 of spades, right? So if we were taking this as an attitude signal, right, then we would think that partner likes it. But little common sense here, right? The 10 of spades was winning the trick. East couldn't beat the 10 of spades, okay? So here's your general rule from this hand. When the dummy is about to win the trick, right? Third hand can't beat the dummy's card. It's the queen, the jack, the 10, or a lower card. East now defaults and says, okay, partner's going to assume my attitude because I couldn't beat the dummy's card. Okay, so I'm going to give partner count. All right, so we went through and we said we were missing the 3, the 4, the 5 of spades. So I would interpret the 6 as a high spot card and interpret partner as having 2 or 4 spades. Okay, if partner has 4 spades, how many does South have? Right, that's how you want to be thinking about it. If partner's showing me 4 spades, I have 4 spades, North has 3, that means South only has 2, which sort of makes sense with how South has played the spade suit, right? Why would South overtake the 10 of spades with the king of spades? Probably only has 2, right? Are you seeing how, what I try to express to people is how defense is a big puzzle, right? We take the signal from partner, and we say, okay, they have 2 or 4. And then we watch to see how declarer plays the suit, and that helps us figure out whether East has 2 or 4. If East had 2 and South had 4, well, South probably wouldn't overtake the king of spades, right? South has 22 to 24 high card points. South can get to their hand however they want, right? They don't have to burn an entry by overtaking their 10 of spades with the king of spades, right? So I would interpret South's hand as being the doubleton and my partner's hand as being 4, and South needing to be able to finesse West, if I was thinking like West, finesse me out of my queen of spades the next trick around. Okay, so interpreting when the bottom line of this hand is when the dummy is about to win the trick with the queen or lower. Okay, if it's the king and the dummy, East is still giving attitude because East could have the queen or the jack and it be important. If the dummy is winning the trick with the queen or lower, now East's signal is count. Okay, and it would be standard count or upside down count, whichever method you use. Okay. Because it's assumed, since East can't beat the dummy, that they don't like the suit. And again, we don't need to be repetitive with our signals. We don't need to say, oh, I really don't like this suit. You know I couldn't beat the 10, but oh, by the way, I really don't like this suit, right? So we default to count. We assume attitude and we give partner count. On this hand, what does partner do with that? Who knows? But we're learning the concept of when attitude is known, our signal is now count. Okay, this would be an example of when dummy was about to win the trick with the 10, irrelevant of the king in South's hand, right? When dummy was about to win the trick with the 10 and East couldn't beat the 10. Attitude is assumed and East signal is now count. Okay. Yeah, as declare, no. As declare, the question was, wouldn't you overtake anyway? If South had king fourth of spades, say give South 3 little spades with their king, they could win the 10 of spades, and then they could come over to their hand with a heart or a diamond or a club and lead a low spade up to the jack again, right? They could take the finesse again anyway. There would be no reason to overtake their 10 with their king if they had 3 little spades along with their king. Unless they had entry problems. But again, South's shown us 22 to 24 points. So no entry problems in South's hand. That would be a different situation where your entries were limited to South's hand and you needed to overtake so you could take the finesse again. That could be a hand, but not on this hand with South having 22 to 24 points. All right, next adventure. And by the way, we will take about a 5-minute break at the top of the hour. We'll probably finish this hand and take a break. This is the full hand. So you can see, yes, indeed, partner was signaling that they had an even number. Okay, and notice how East played the 6 instead of the 8. When you're signaling count with 4-card suit, signal the second highest when it can be spared, which is usually the situation. Sometimes you can't afford the second highest, so you play the 3rd highest. But in this case, you don't want to signal with the 8. You want to signal with the 6. When holding 4-card suit, signal with the second highest spot card, second highest card in the suit, which would be the 6 here. All right, let's move on to hand number 4. And the auction's gone 1 spade by South, 2 hearts by West, 3 hearts by North, pass, 4 spades by South, all pass. All right. And we lead out the Ace of Hearts. Oh, it should go Ace of Hearts, 4 of Hearts. That should be Jack of Hearts, 3 of Hearts. My 3 and Jack wandered up to spades there. So the first trick is Ace of Hearts, 4 of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, 3 of Hearts. And we're interpreting partner's Jack of Hearts signal. Okay? So take a minute and think about it in your own signaling. Assuming standard signals, what is partner trying to tell us here? Could be a singleton, right? Could be it could be a doubleton jack. It wouldn't be 3 though, right? So our 2 options would be singleton jack of hearts or doubleton jack of hearts. All right. If partner has 2, how many does that give declare? right? Carry that thought out, right? It's great we can get, oh, it's a singleton or it's a doubleton, but let's say, what if partner has 2 hearts? West is looking at 6, dummy has 3, that's 9. If East has 2, that's 11, and that would give South 2. So here's another situation where the dummy's queen may be set up. Okay, now remember we're in 4 spades, and we have the potential of setting up Declare's card. Now, what if partner's jack was a singleton? How many cards does that give South? Right? I ask you these questions over and over, so maybe when you're playing at the table, you start thinking about these things, right? If partner has only 1, that means South has 3. Okay, and we'll be able to go ace of hearts, king of hearts, and give partner a ruff. If partner has 2 and South has 2, that was our original scenario. We can go ace of hearts and king of hearts. We get those. And then we'd actually want to lead a 3rd heart. Okay, we want to have partner ruff that queen out before declarer gets to pull trump. Okay, so I know this is a bit confusing. The jack and the 3 are actually hearts. They floated up to the spade suit there. Okay, so ace, king of hearts, and on the 3rd round, say everyone follows. Okay, ace of hearts, king of hearts, and everyone follows. We want to lead a 3rd heart to kill the trick in the dummy. That's what we call it, killing the trick in the dummy. Because if we switch at this point, right, switch to a diamond or a spade or a club, declare is going to win it, pull our partner's trump, okay, and then play the queen of hearts and discard a club or a diamond. Okay, so when it's inevitable that the dummy's card is going to be good and partner still has some trumps, it's generally a good idea to continue leading that suit and have partner trump it out. Okay, by the way, when West does this with East 10, what you want to do is trump with your highest trump you've got. Okay, highest spot card. Let's take a look at the whole hand. This is a good example of when a whole hand will help you see everything. And our jack and our 3 are in the right spots here. Okay, so we started with the ace of hearts, partner played the jack. We interpreted it from West's perspective as either a singleton or a doubleton. And either way, we want to continue with the king of hearts. And now we see partner follow. So now we know that South also had 2, right? East had 2 and South had 2. So now our question is, do we continue the heart suit, or do we go about finding tricks somewhere else? Okay. On this particular hand, we want to go ahead and continue the heart suit so that partner can trump. Now on this hand, partner only had 1 trump to trump with, okay? So it's not a good example of choices of what to trump with. So East trumps with the 9 of spades, and South has to decide whether to over trump or perhaps do a loser on loser play. We talked about loser on loser plays in our last Play These Hands with me. This would actually be an example of where South would want to discard a loser because by over trumping the 9 of spades with the queen of spades, it actually sets a spade trick up in West's hand. Look at that. Isn't that pretty cool? Right? So on the 9 of spades, South would actually want to discard a diamond away. Discard the 7 of diamonds and give them that trick. Now East is on lead, and all they can do, they're out of hearts, they're out of spades, they lead a diamond, South can win it, they lead a club, South can win it, pull trump, and claim. So it's up to South whether they make the hand on this. If South over roughs, then they go down. If they discard, then they make it. But the key is getting that queen of hearts roughed out. Okay? Want to rough out that trick that you set up in the dummy. All right, we're right at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go into our 5-minute break, and actually what I'll do is go to our break slide. I try to get 6 hands in, but we're not going to get them there. This will be our break slide. I'll go back to hand number 5 when we get when we come back from break. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off for just a few minutes, stand up, walk around, and then we'll be back and continue our discussion of defending these hands with me today. All right, we've got a couple more minutes on break. I just thought I'd come back and see if you guys have any questions while I'm sitting here. And you know, you guys can always post questions on the blog, on my blog, or send me email. I've got both the email and the blog up on the screen here, and I'll be happy to answer them, especially as fast as we're going through these hands. Some of these concepts are pretty maybe new to a lot of you, and the deeper we get into the hands, the more moving parts there are, and so it takes a little bit longer to explain them. But what these webinars are just snapshots of concepts out there, and I'm working on getting actual lesson webinars where we look at a concept in depth, and say take the loser on loser play and look at different types of losers on losers, or misfit bidding, and look at different types of misfit bidding. So hopefully the plan is to be rolling those out in the next few weeks, and having them at different times, because I know that Wednesday mornings don't work for everyone, so we'll be having them at different times. And then if you aren't able to make it, we'll be having recordings and things like that. All right, let me scroll back here to hand number 5. I'm just going to move backwards to hand number 5. Okay. Ah, yes. Okay. Here we go. Lots of bidding. 2 clubs by south, 2 diamonds, 2 spades, north and south bidding all the way, 3 spades, 5 clubs by south. What in the world is that animal? We talked about this a couple of webinars ago, I guess the last webinar, and bid these hands with me. This type of jump to the 5 level beyond game is actually called voidwood. And what South is asking North is to tell them about their controls, their aces, and if you play key cards, the King of Trump, excluding the club suit. And so it's called exclusion blackwood or voidwood. It has 2 names. Exclusion means tell me your answers with and exclude the suit I just jumped in. Right, so that sort of makes more sense. Some people call it voidwood, which means I'm blackwooding in my void. So don't tell me about that suit. So either way, whatever makes sense, grab a hold of it. It's the same convention. If you're Googling it or looking up in a book, voidwood and exclusion are the same thing. So five clubs says, partner, tell me about your aces outside the club suit. North says 5 hearts, I've got 1. 5 diamonds would be none. 5 hearts would be 1. 5 spades would be 2. I've got 1 outside my clubs. See, notice North here didn't tell them about the ace of clubs. Okay, and then South bid 6 spades. So now we're on opening lead, and it looks as good as ever. They've signed off in 6, and we know they have a void in clubs. So we might as well see if partner has the ace of diamonds and we can get a diamond rub. So we go ahead and lead our singleton. No other indication of other suits. Our best suit is clubs, but South has announced to us that they have a void. And the first trick goes 2 of diamonds, king of diamonds, ace of diamonds. Now, in the scenario on the top left-hand corner, it says South wins the diamond ace and leads a low spade towards dummy. What I want to introduce you to here is the concept of a trump echo. I know a lot of people at band, it's sort of a people pick up little things and it spreads through a bridge club. And so for those that play in Dallas, I know trump suit preference has been a big thing recently. And what I want to say about that is it's a bit distracting. You don't want to depend on it. It's right in certain circumstances. But what I'm talking about here is not trump suit preference. What I'm talking about here is called a trump echo. And it's when a singleton has been led. Okay. Oh, actually, look up at that bidding. I said 2 diamonds, and I forgot to say East doubled. Okay. So East has shown lengthened diamonds. So it's very apparent to everyone at the table. Okay, East double should show at least 5 or 6 diamonds. It's apparent to South, East, North, and you're looking at your singleton that the 6 of diamonds is a singleton lead. Okay, it's either a singleton or it's from 3, and there can't be that many diamonds in the deck. All right, so everyone at the table knows that that 6 of diamonds is a singleton lead, right? And so when you've led a singleton, or when your partner's led a singleton, and trumps have been led, what you want to do is play a high-low, that's why it's called an echo, high-low echo to say, partner, I actually am still able to trump something. I have at least 3 trump. Okay, in this case, if it went a low spade, West would play the 9 of spades, or the 7 of spades would be okay, because it's high. The 7 of spades, North would play the ace, North would lead a spade back, and let me show you the whole hand here so you can see what the cards coming on, right? East would win the king, and West would follow with the 2 of spades. By playing the 7 and the 2 instead of the 2 and the 7, right? You had a choice of which trump to play, right? By playing the 7 and the 2, it tells partner that, hey, if you win this second round of spades, I can still trump a diamond, right? If West were sitting there with only 2 spades, they'd actually want, on the lead of the queen, say it went queen of spades, play the 2 of spades, and North's best chance is to win the ace of spades and lead another spade in hopes that West doesn't have a spade trick to ruff with. But on this hand, there's a cool play that South can do to make it. But since we're talking about defense today, I just want to focus on West's play of the trump suit. Okay, so if you have 3 or more spades and you've led a singleton, you want to do a high-low echo to tell partner that you can actually still get a diamond ruff when they get in. Okay. On this hand, though, declarer can actually still make it if they win the ace of diamonds. They go over the ace of spades, and on the ace of clubs, they discard their good queen of diamonds away. A winner on a winner play. That's what that is. Then, when East wins the king of spades and attempts to give their partner a diamond ruff, South can trump high, finish pulling trump, and their hand is good. But what we try to do on defense is make it the most difficult for declare. If declare doesn't see that play, then when East gets in with the king of spades, and say South hasn't discarded their queen of diamonds on the ace of clubs, East will now be able to give West a ruff, a diamond trump. Lead a diamond, South would have to follow with the queen, and West would be able to trump with their remaining trump. Okay, so it's called a trump echo. It's when shortness has been led, trumps are being played by declare. If you have 3 or more spades, then echo high-low in the spade suit to let partner know that even though trumps have been played, I'll still have a 3rd round trump to trump if you get in. All right, so that's a cool little tip. You got to share it with your partner though, otherwise it doesn't do any good on defense. And you can do that whether you play trump suit preference. It's a different animal other than trump suit preference. So if partner's not playing trump suit preference, you don't want to play it. I don't play trump suit preference all the time. If there's certain situations that I play it in, I think that it sometimes it costs us trump tricks. So I try not to use my trump to talk too much, except in specific situations. So. All right, let's continue on. Hand number 6. And the bidding is quite simple on this one. 1 no, 3 no. And the opening lead is the Queen of Hearts by West. And up in the top left-hand corner, it gives you the first couple of tricks. South ducks the King of Hearts and wins the second heart. Then South leads the Jack of Clubs. What is West's play? And you notice how these hands are puzzles. Eddie Cantor has great puzzle books. If you like puzzles, bridge puzzles like this, all of his defense and play puzzle books are similar to this. They're a lot of fun if you like puzzles. But anyway, the first trick: Queen of Hearts, 4 of Hearts, King of Hearts, 8 of Hearts. What is East doing, overtaking our Queen of Hearts with the King of Hearts? What's going on there? Yeah, maybe it's only the King of Hearts, right? Or it could be that East has the king and a little heart, a doubleton, right? So general rule when your third hand is when you have honor doubleton and partner leads an honor in that suit, whether it's a suit contract or no trump, you want to go ahead and overtake, excuse me, overtake your partner's honor with your honor to unblock, okay? So either it's a singleton or it's a doubleton. If East had 3 hearts, they would encourage with a high spot card, and then you'd lead low over to their king and then come back to you. But when holding honor doubleton, they've got to unblock. All right, so here's your scenario. Partner plays the king, South ducks. Partner continues with a heart. They had 2 hearts, and South wins the ace. And now South leads the jack of clubs at you. What's your play? What are we doing now? What's going on in this hand? Declare is going to take a finesse, right? So are we going to play low so Declare can take a finesse? Or are we going to play our ace to take the guess away from Declare? Yeah, if we're counting our tricks, right? This is back to the basics, right? All great defenders review the bidding. All great defenders figure out how many high card points partner has in their hand. Oh, have we done that? How many high card points does East promise on this auction? Let's see. South, open 1 no, showing 15 to 17. So we're playing them for 16. Dummy came down with 13, right? That's 29. And we're looking at 8 high card points in West hand. This is all from West perspective, right? So that's 37. So that gives partner 3 points. And oh yeah, partner played the king of hearts at trick 1. Partner doesn't have any points left. South, that dastardly Declare, has the queen of clubs and is trying to sneak a trick by us. Very smart South, but we're on top of our defense here. We can see our setting trick. And a big general rule is when you've got the setting trick, take it, right? We've got 4 heart winners and the ace of clubs. No need to get greedy on this hand and hope that partner has the queen of clubs when there's no hope for partner, right? If partner has the queen of clubs, then South doesn't have an opening hand, opening no trump hand. So grab that ace of clubs, take your hearts, because on this hand, let's take a look at the full hand here. The full hand is Declare has 4 spade winners, 1 heart winner is 5, 3 diamond winners is 8, and if they can sneak a club past you, West, that's their 9th trick, and that's exactly what South was trying to do. Anytime that you need to sneak a trick, which is what South is doing here, they've got to get a club trick past the ace of clubs, right? If East has the ace of clubs, they're gent, because now East can't get to West hand. But if West has the ace of clubs, South needs to sneak a trick. That's what we call it, stealing a trick, sneak a trick past. You always want to lead. You try to lead up to the closed hand, but in this case, if you can make it look like you're about to take a finesse, sometimes second hand, if they're not on top of their game, if they're thinking about what they're having for dinner or something, right? They'll play second hand low without thinking. But in this case, if you review the auction, figure out how many high card points partner has, which is 3, and they've shown them to us, and realize that this is not a finesse. South is trying to trick us, and that we've got the setting trick, right? It is very doable to hop with your ace of clubs, right? Not play second hand, right? And take your hearts. South was very clever to make West play second hand, because sometimes we've got the second hand low, third hand high, fourth hand win if you can, and we stop thinking about the hand. But this is an awesome example of if you just stop and do your general things, review the auction, figure out how many high card points. In this case, we subtracted from 14. Actually, we subtracted because we knew exactly. South had shown us between 15 and 17. Dummy came down with 13, and we were holding 8. So we could figure out within a point what partner had. What partner couldn't have would be the queen of clubs, though. All right. So we can all do this. We're gonna be taking our tricks here. And you know, the simple way of looking at it is you've got the setting trick. If you keep in mind how many tricks you need on the hand, and then realize that you've got them before declare sneaks a trick past you, then you could set the hand as well. The other thinking is a little bit deeper. All right, so I'm going to click through our break slide because we've already had our break and come up on hand number 7. All right, then again, the auction is simple, 1 no, 3 no. And the opening lead is the 5 of spades. We're just leading our 4th best. And the first trick goes 5 of spades, 3 of spades, ace of spades, jack of spades. All right, now the scenario in the top left-hand corner says East wins the ace of spades and returns the 7 of spades. And South follows with the queen. Okay, so first trick was 5, 3, ace, jack. East returns the 7. South follows with the queen. And it's West's turn to play. So let's step back and figure out what that 7 of spades is telling us. Now, here's an example for you upside downers, okay? When partner is returning a lead, okay, that's what East is doing here. They're returning a lead. They return current count, current right side up count, even if you're playing upside down signals. Okay, here's an example of where your signal is right side up in its current count. All right, so let's play the what if game. The 7, we can see the 2, the 3, the 2 in West hand, the 3 in North hand. We're missing the 4, the 5, and the 6. We can see the 5 and the 6. Right, so we're missing the 4 and we're missing the 9. Okay, now let's visualize, and if you have pen and paper here, you can write some of these combinations out. This is what I do in my head, but paper is a lot easier. All right, what if partner held the ace 9 7? What card would they return? Returning right side up current count, what's currently in their hand at the time they lead. They've played the ace and they're returning from the 9 and the 7. What card would they play? They return the 9, right? Right. If they had the ace 7 4, what card would they return? They return the 7. Right. So what we know they don't. Oh, what if they had ace 9 7 4? What would they return? Ace 9 7 4. They'd return the 4 because it would be right side up current count. They win the ace. They have the 9, the 7, and the 4 left. Right side up current count, what they're currently holding in their hand, not what they started with. That's why it's called current count. The 4 would be led from ace 9 7 4. Okay, so you see how I played these cards in here. Okay, so what we know is partner doesn't have 4 spades. Because if they had 4 spades, they would have returned the 4 at trick 2. Okay, meaning South only had the Queen Jack Doubleton, which is what South is trying to get you to think, right? South is messing with you here, right? It went 5 3 ace jack. Then partner returned the 7, and South played the queen. So they're very much trying to get you to take your king, thinking that they've got a doubleton and partner's got 4 spades. Okay, but you have to trust your partner in these cases. Do not ever trust declare. They are not your friend. They are your opponent. Okay, and that's why these type of carding agreements are huge for you and your partner to have, right? On the return of the 7, it's either ace 7 4, ace-7 doubleton, could be ace-7 doubleton, right? In which case the queen-jack would be a little bit of an unusual play. They would have played a small spade to begin with. It could be ace-7-4 or ace-7 doubleton. But we know it's not ace-9-7 because partner would have returned the 9, right? And we know it's not ace-9-7-4 because partner would have returned the 4. So having run through all of these different combinations, you realize that South has the 9 of spades. And you realize that this is going to be your last entry to your hand if you take the king of spades. And you realize you've got to leave that third spade in partner's hand. So if partner gets in, oh, looking at dummy, maybe with the king of clubs, maybe they have a heart winner, maybe they have a diamond winner, right? If partner gets in with any other suit, they will still have a spade to lead back to you, right? If you win the king of spades on this trick and you lead another spade and you knock out South 9, well, great, your spades are good, but your partner's out of spades and you have no entries. All right, so let's take a look at the whole hand here. And here you go. Partner was returning from ace-7-4. Isn't that pretty cool? If you run through and realize what partner would have led had they held other combinations, you can come up with the fact that South is messing with you. All right, it's all there. The clues are there. You just have to be the detective and look for them and think through the scenarios. And sometimes I get asked questions, well, why don't you teach this to us in week, the intro to bridge? And it's like, well, one, you wouldn't come back to week 2 if I started talking to you like this. And two, it takes a few years. You guys have all been playing for quite a while now, right? It seems like forever, but in bridge life, we're all very new to this game, right? Bob Hammond says even he learns something every time he plays bridge, and he was #1 in the country, in the world, actually, for a couple of decades. So, if he's still learning, we've got lots and lots to learn together. But the point is, you've got to have some basics, right? You've got to have some fundamentals of what the definition of returning current remaining count, right? What does that mean? So jot these notes down and add it, tell your partner about it, right? When you're returning a suit, here's your rule. When you're returning a suit, partner's led, you return current count, right side up current count, even though you might play upside down signals. Okay, this is a situation where everyone returns right side up current count. And that helps partner in these situations. This was an example of East giving the signal, but West interpreting it and realizing if they let South win the Queen of Spades at trick 3, or trick 2 rather, excuse me, when East gets in with the King of Clubs, they still have a spade left to get over to West's hand. If West were to win the King of Spades at trick 2 and clear spades, East gets in with the King of Clubs, but has no spade left. All right, so rely on partner's return. Partner, pay attention to what card you're returning, because some people watch, right? Don't worry about declare watching, right? Returning the correct card here does nothing for declare. Declare is at the mercy of West getting it right, and West needs your signal to get it right. Yeah, your count card to get it right, to get the play right. All right, so that's a fun hand. Keep that one, mark that one. Come back and look at it some more. And keep your notes of ace-9-7-4, they'd lead the 4, ace-9-7, they'd lead the 9, right? Ace-7-4, they'd return the 7, right? And add that to your arsenal. At this point, maybe partner's not reading it, right? But for your defensive game, if you get those cards always right, you get down to where you're doing it on every hand, right? What's going to happen is when you have a partner sending those signals, playing that kind of way, you're going to be able to read it much more often than not, right? And then eventually your partner will pick up on the idea and they will start interpreting your return card. So even if partner's not playing this, you can do this for your game. Okay, you do add this to your game, no matter who you're playing with, and then it'll just be second nature, and you can focus on some other part of the hand. All right, let's go to our next hand here. Hand number 8. West passes, North bids 1 diamond, pass 1 spade. West makes a passed hand double. Okay, so West is showing like 9 to 11 points, 9 to 11 high card points, because they are a passed hand. And they're definitely showing 4-4 in the unbid suits. Okay, 4 clubs and 4 hearts for sure. You don't mess around with your passed hand takeout doubles. You have to have that shape. 2 spades pass 4 spades. So South is in 4 spades. And the first trick goes king of clubs, 4 of clubs. And I don't have East card marked because I want you to decide what you're going to signal. Okay, assuming standard signals take about 30 seconds, right? We've shifted chairs now. I've put you in East hand. We're thinking third hand. We're thinking we're defending 4 spades and we need 4 tricks. All right, and take a look at the dummy. Is it a passive or aggressive dummy? And where's our source of tricks? What is partner promising us with that king lead? We're assuming ace from ace king. Well, and you can see South follows with the ace of clubs at trick 1. So which card are we playing? We're going to follow suit, right? So you could play the 2 of clubs, the 8 of clubs, or the jack of clubs. What would you play? Let me know what you're thinking. Yeah, the clear choices are the 8 or the 2. This wouldn't be an unblocking situation because you have the 3 clubs. Okay. Now, the king of clubs, the way I start out after this problem is the king of clubs is promising the queen. And my general rule is anytime I have a touching honor with the card that partner's led, then I encourage, I signal encouragement. So on the king of clubs lead, if I had the ace, I would encourage. If I had the jack, I would encourage, because the jack is preference. It is showing, the jack is touching the queen. Okay, so anytime you have touching honors, partner leads an honor, you have touching honors, then you signal encouragement to say, hey, I've got a touching honor with what you're promising. Not necessarily what you're leading, but what you're promising. Since the king is promising the queen, the 8 would say, hey, I've got the jack or the ace. Now, when the ace is played at trick 1, West would know that you've got the jack. But let's look deeper, okay? Let's look deeper. We need 4 tricks. And we know from West lead, right? We haven't seen the ace of clubs yet because we haven't played, right? We're trying to decide what to signal. From the king of clubs, we know South has the ace. So we know at most we're just going to get 1 more club trick, right? So does partner really need to know about my jack of clubs? Not really, because the 1 more club trick we're going to get is West's queen of clubs. All right, so what's necessary? We're staring at that heart suit, right? We're thinking, wow, that heart suit is a source of tricks. And if I'm going to get any diamonds, we got to get after those diamonds. Okay? So on this hand, as third hand, remember third hand is the person that is the guides the defense, right? You guide the defense. So on this hand, your signal would be attitude. It would not be suit preference. Okay, there's suit preference on opening lead is only when there's a singleton in the dummy, or there's a couple of other situations, but not here. On this hand, I would actually signal the 2 of clubs and lie to partner. It's called a false preference. False preference, F-A-L-S-E. False preference, because really I do like clubs, but I can see from my hand that there's no future in clubs other than our one club trick. And I can see from my hand that we need to get onto diamonds right away. Okay, so the 2 of clubs doesn't say I like diamonds, right? It may mean if the hearts and the diamonds were switched in North's hand, then I would be wanting a heart switch, right? If we reverse the hearts and the diamonds. But when partner says they don't like your lead, the suit that you switch to often is told by the dummy. Okay, so the 2 of clubs would say, I don't like clubs, but it doesn't say what suit I like. West has to look at dummy and go, well, where is our source of tricks? We need 4 tricks on this hand. We might get the ace of hearts, right? But we're going to get that whether West leads hearts or not. We may have some diamond tricks. And for diamonds to be our source of tricks, we need to get a diamond on the table at trick 2, or when we get back in. We need to get a diamond because South's going to win the ace of clubs. So when we get back in, we need to be attacking diamonds before those hearts are set up. Okay, so let's look at the whole hand. Right, so king of clubs, small club. If we play the 2 of clubs, South would win the ace. And now they would have to play some trump. And West takeout double would tell them how to play the spade suit, by the way. They would know to finesse East out of the spade because of West takeout double. So they would get that right. But notice the diamond suit. If we can get the diamonds off the board before the hearts get set up, now we've got a chance to set the hand, right? If we, if we give that we like clubs and partner gets back in and continues clubs, now we don't have as good a chance to set the hand. All right, so false preference is what this hand is about. Yes, you want to signal attitude. Attitude on first trick when partner leads in honor is your general rule. In this case, we actually don't want to tell partner about our jack of clubs because that's not what is relevant in our hand. What's relevant in our hand is the diamond suit. An interesting point on East discarding, right? Because East is going to have to discard something. What East would have to want to do is save their hearts, right? Don't discard from their hearts. It's not at all obvious that a club wouldn't want to be continued. It may be that you want to be passive, right? One of the comments is, well, when you know a club isn't necessary, then the 2 becomes suit preference. But it's not clear at all that we don't want to just keep playing clubs and forcing North to trump with their trump, right? To kill dummy, to be passive, right? There's passive defenses and aggressive defenses. Leading diamonds is very aggressive. Leading clubs is very passive. So there wouldn't be a case on this hand where, and I'm trying to think, there's probably some hand out there where it would be obvious that clubs would not be the suit that you'd want to work anymore. But they're not coming. I'll have to think about that one. On this hand, though, it could be very well. Say East had the queen third of diamonds instead of king queen third of diamonds. Well, East wouldn't want you to lead a diamond then. East would want to encourage clubs and get you just to continue clubs to be passive so that South would have to what we call find the queen of diamonds, right? So it would always be an attitude signal. Well, I'd say always. You guys know our rule. We don't say always or never in this game because inevitably there's some exception somewhere. But generally, your attitude, your signal here would be attitude. You couldn't get all. If it weren't attitude, then it would be count, right? To get all the way to suit preference requires a lot of elements in the hand, and you have to rely on partner to get it right. Otherwise, sometimes you don't have the right cards for suit preference, right? Suit preference is somewhat dangerous. Your partner starts relying on your suit preference signals rather than thinking about the hand. So suit preferences are good, but there are only specific situations where they work, and this wouldn't be one of those hands. But okay, so false preference, that's a new idea in our arsenal. I'm not saying go and lie to partner all the time. I'm just saying think about the hand deeper. Go deeper into the hand and see, what does partner really need to know about my hand? I know you're all going to be out there lying to partner this week, but that's okay. You'll come back from it. It all happens. Part of the assimilation process. All right. Number 9. You, as West, open 1 club. Goes 1 spade. Pass 3 hearts by South. Pass 4 hearts. Now that 3 heart bid is lots of hearts. Usually an invitational bid, and North raises to 4 hearts. So when given the ace and the king of a suit, you start with the ace to get dummy down, right? A lot of times getting 13 more cards in your discussion or in your thought process helps with your defense. So the first trick goes ace of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds by South. What's going on? What is partner's 9 of diamonds? Looks encouraging, right? Declares in 4 hearts, and they've got those big running spades, right? So it's encouraging. Now, it is either showing the queen of diamonds, touching honors with what we're promising, right? Ace promising king, so the 9 is promising the queen, or because it's a suit contract, the 9 could be promising the 9 small out, right? A doubleton, right? So we have to play the what if partner has 2 diamonds? How many diamonds does that give South, right? If West has 3 diamonds, North has 2 diamonds, East has 2 diamonds, that gives South 6 diamonds. It doesn't sound like South has 6 diamonds on this auction, right? They jumped to 3 hearts, right? Their hand has a lot of red cards in it, but it's not diamonds, right? So I would assume that my partner is not high-lowing out, but my partner is promising the queen of diamonds. Now, why did I go to all of this thought process, right? What I would love to get to partner's hand to be able to lead a club. All right, maybe East has the king of clubs and we can just go ace, king of diamonds, ace, king of clubs, but those hands don't come up very often, right? So what I need to do is be able to get to East hand so that East can work out to lead a club, right? Hearts are trump. Those spades are glaring at us, right? This is an aggressive dummy. This is an aggressive dummy here. So ace of diamonds at trick 2, we want to continue diamonds, but we want to continue with the 7 of diamonds. Over to our partner's known queen, because we worked through the logic that partner's not signaling with like 9, 6 of diamonds, okay? Because that would give South 6 diamonds. Partner is signaling with the queen. We had an option of cashing the king of diamonds out, but we chose to underlead our king of diamonds to East hand, to their queen. So East should take some time and go, okay, partner wanted me in for some reason. Why did partner want me in? Looking at the dummy. Remember, I tell you the dummy tells you a lot about your defense. Pay attention to the dummy. It has a lot to say. The dummy with the threatening spades. Hearts are trump. Dummy's out of diamonds. The only suit left is clubs, right? Logic, a lot of times, most of the time, logic will get you to the suit to switch to. That's why you don't need partner telling you, because sometimes partner doesn't know what to tell you, right? So rely on your logic to work these things out and not so much suit preference by partner. So let's take a look at the hand. This is a very cool hand if you work out that partner has the queen of diamonds, because look at that. Declare South had the king of clubs. If you continue with the king of diamonds, Now South will be able to, the best you can do now is take your ace of clubs, because now South will be able to discard away on the spade suit. They can pull trump, and they get 4 discards on those spades. So if you don't take your ace of clubs, then declarer is going to be making 5. Congratulations to you, you got your ace king of diamonds, but you lost your clubs, right? So work out what partner signal is telling you. This is a neat hand because you can work out for sure East has the queen of diamonds, okay? Because the card count isn't logical for South to have 6 diamonds on this auction. Review that auction. It's important. Lots of clues in the auction, lots of clues in dummy. On every hand, they're there. You just have to know to look for them. This hand actually, South, I would have a preference with South's hand of Q bidding 2 clubs here and then bidding hearts. Someone asked why you would jump in hearts. Some people play 3 hearts as a forcing jump opposite an overcall. So it depends on what your style is. I personally, and I think we talked about this in one of our bidding webinars, I personally would start with a Q bid and then bid my hearts to show like forcing the game hand with a strong 6-card heart suit. So 3 hearts that's a preference. Some people play that as a forcing bid. I would play 3 hearts as an invitational bid. For this hand, to simplify the auction, to get it over quickly, since we're talking about defense, I put 3 hearts in there to be a forcing bid, and then North raises to 4 hearts. But the modern way of bidding this hand would be to start with 2 clubs and then come back and bid your hearts. So good question there. All right, hand number 10. Bidding goes 1 diamond, pass 1 spade, pass 1 no, pass 4 spades by South. And this is a pretty long scenario here. In the top left-hand corner, West leads the jack of clubs. And the first 3 tricks basically go club, 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 right? North should technically play low. East would play low. West would continue with the club. North would play low. East would play the queen. And then East would cash the ace of clubs, okay? So that's basically what all of this is saying. So it's 3 rounds of clubs, and that's why I didn't give you the first lead. So we got club, 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 and now East exits with a heart. They can, it says exits with the jack of hearts. They just exit with the 7 of hearts. It's fine. And now South wins the ace of hearts and crosses to dummy to lead the queen of spades. Now I'm shifting gears here for our last 3 hands. The first 9 hands we talked about signaling. The last 3 hands here, I'm shifting gears a little bit and looking at when to cover and honor. That's our last theme for today. When to cover and honor, when not to cover and honor, what's going on here. Okay, so go back to the bidding, right? So it's gone club, club, club. You switch to a heart. Declarer wins the ace of hearts, goes over to the ace of diamonds, and leads the queen of spades. That's your scenario. You're all sitting in East chair, and North declarer calls the queen of spades out of North's hand. So general rule is cover and honor with an honor. What we're looking at here is perhaps an exception. Okay, visualize South's hand. They've bid spades and they've rebid spades when partners promise them at least 2. Okay, so South is showing 6 spades at least, which means partner has at most 1 spade. Okay, now I know that, you know, second hand low, and then we have cover and honor with an honor. So we've got all of these general rules running around in our head. But there are hands where we have to stop and think about what's going on in the suit. If South has 6 spades, and we're looking at 4, that's 10, and there's 2 in the dummy, that's 12, Partner's only got one. Okay, so our general rule is cover and honor with an honor unless there's nothing to promote. That's a big unless. Unless there's nothing to promote in the suit by covering the honor. Okay, so if we know partner at most has one spade, right? If it goes queen of spades, king of spades, ace of spades by south, partner's one spade is going to fall. And our 7-3-2 aren't going to stand up for anything, right? So on this hand, we actually want to play low when the queen of spades is let off the board because there's nothing to promote by covering an honor with an honor. That's the rest of the saying. We know cover an honor with an honor, but the rest of the story is unless there's nothing to promote by covering. That's what you want to write down in your notes today. Cover an honor with an honor unless there's nothing left to promote by covering. In this case, because of the bidding, we can tell there's nothing to promote by covering an honor with an honor. So we play low, declare we play another spade, we play low again, and now declare can't get our spade, right? They can cash the ace of spades, but we follow low again, and our king of spades is good, right? Sometimes declarer can do what's called a trump coup and strip the hand and lead through your spade and do fancy things like that. But this would, you don't have enough tricks in the dummy. You don't have enough entries to dummy to make that happen on this hand. Because East can, declare can get back over to dummy, but they can't come through you with spades. And if they try to go up with the king of clubs, you're going to win your ace of clubs, right? So the trump coup, this is not a good hand for a trump coup. So if East plays low and continues to play low every time spades are led, ultimately East king will win a trick. And that's what you want to do, right? You've gotten your first three clubs, right? Because it went club, club, club. All you want to sit back as East is wait for your king of spades to be good. And if you cover the queen with the king or the king or the 9 with the king, that's the only way you won't get your spade on this hand. They can't do it any other way. All right, so cover an honor with an honor unless there's no other trick to promote, in which case you play low. All right, and this is the whole hand. In fact, on this hand, partner had no spades. All right, so cover an honor with an honor unless there's nothing to promote. All right, hand number 11, 1 club, 2 spade preempts by West. That's weak most days. Most of the time, people play that weak. You will find some people that play that intermediate, and sometimes people play it strong if they're on some island in some far off place that doesn't have internet. But intermediate you still see nowadays occasionally, but for the most part 2 spades is weak. Double by north, that's negative double. Guaranteeing 4 hearts in this case. Pass 4 hearts by south, all pass. And the opening lead, I don't have the first lead again because again we're sitting in East hand. And in the top left hand corner it says West leads the spade king. South wins the ace of spades, crosses to the king of clubs, and leads the queen of hearts. So we've just had this long discussion of don't cover an honor with an honor unless there's nothing to promote. So think about what's the layout of the heart suit based on the bidding. What's going on with the heart suit? How many does South have? If we wrote this out on a piece of paper, right, then South could have 6 clubs and 5 hearts. That's an interesting idea. I would think more likely South had 4 hearts because the shape of a 6-5 doesn't come up very often, and to open a club and then hold 5 hearts, you'd have to have 6 clubs. And so I would think South has 4 hearts, and we're looking at 4 hearts in our hand, and dummy has 4 hearts. So at most, again, partner has this 1 heart. Look at the spot cards. There's queen 9, 5, 2 in the dummy, and we have king 7, 6, 3. So let's say South has the ace, the jack, the 10, and another spot card, the 8. Okay, ace, jack, 10. So if we were to cover an honor with an honor, and partner's singleton honor comes down, our 7, 6 aren't going to be any good. But if we play low and declare has to lead another heart, then South will have to play their jack or their 10 or their ace, right? They won't play the ace. They'll have to play the jack or the 10. And then look at the dummy. The dummy's dead. That's what we call a dead dummy, right? Once North has to win the heart trick in South's hand, if they try to get back to North's hand with the king of diamonds, you win the ace. If they try to get back to North's hand with the club, you ruff. Okay, so let's look at the whole hand here. Right? Look at that. South had the ace, jack, 10, 4. So as long as you don't cover on this hand, you will ultimately get a heart trick. Okay, you'll get a spade trick and 2 diamonds, and the setting trick is the heart trick. If you can get to it, you'll either get it by they lead a club up to the dummy and you ruff, or by you just ducking the heart and then winning another trick. Now, interestingly enough, if North started with the 9 of hearts here and you played low, and then they played the queen of hearts and you played low, then they'd be able to actually finesse you a 3rd time. So if Declare plays this card combination correctly, they can get your king of hearts. But sometimes Declare doesn't pay attention to their spot cards and their entries, and they start with the queen of hearts. So this is a good lesson both ways, to pay attention to your spot cards. If you're getting the idea that spot cards are more important than we put an emphasis on, that's what you want to take from this webinar, because there is so much going on in the spot card world that we just are totally oblivious to. It's a good reminder as from Declare's perspective and Defender's perspective, to watch your entries and how spot cards play a difference here. But again, to reiterate, if North plays the queen of hearts, realize that partner only has 1 heart on this holding, and there's nothing to promote by covering an honor with an honor. So you should play low and continue to play low. And eventually you will get a heart trick out of this hand. All right, last hand coming up. And I just want to make a quick announcement. I know some of you guys are leaving to play at band. Next week, we're actually going to attempt to show the webinar at the band location for those that are playing in the afternoon game. So you can take your laptop with you and be at the location. We'll have it up on the big screens. If you want to ask questions, you've got to log onto your computer. If you just want to watch the webinar, you can go to band without taking your computer or looking at it. Okay, last hand of the day. It goes 1 no, 4 no, 6 no. 1 no, 4 no, 6 no. 4 no is quantitative, and 6 no says, thanks for asking. I'm at the top of my bid. I opened 1 no, so I'm sitting around 17 or a really good 16 for some reason I like. And I think we can take 12 tricks. All right, so West leads the Jack of Hearts, and Declare wins with the Ace of Hearts and leads the Jack of Spades off of dummy. This is our last hand. Do we cover? Do we not cover? What's our general rule? So let me give you 20 seconds. Decide, are you going to cover this or are you not going to cover this Jack of Spades, right? Hearts led, ace of hearts is 1. Trick 2, the jack of hearts, the jack of spades comes at you. Are you covering or not covering? Let's think about how many spades South has. At most, South has is 5 spades. They open a no trump, right? Which means that partner has at least 3 spades, if not more, probably more. Okay. And so even though you don't have anything to promote in your hand, your partner may have a card over there that would be promotable. Okay, so we've got this cover and honor with an honor unless there's nothing to promote. That nothing to promote may be in your hand, but don't forget that your partner is over there with the holding. So let's take a look at West hand and look at that 10 of spades. If you cover an honor with an honor, partner's 10 of spades, West 10 of spades becomes the setting trick. If you duck here, right, take a look at declare's tricks. They have 4 clubs and 2 diamonds is 6 and 3 hearts is 9. If they can get 3 spade tricks, right, if they can sneak a spade past you by leading the jack of spades, if you play low, they play low. And then they lead the 9 of spades, you play low, they play the queen of spades, right? That's their 12th trick. The jack of spades is their 12th trick. But if you cover an honor with an honor, they have to win jack of spades, king of spades, ace of spades. They can play their queen of spades, but ultimately your partner's 10 of spades stays up. Okay, I wanted to finish with this hand because I don't want you to go around ducking all your honors for the next week, right? But it's cover an honor with an honor unless there's nothing to promote. And don't forget about partner's hand in the promotion. Okay. All right, so we've got all new signaling and covering an honor with an honor exceptions here. I'll be back next week we'll be doing play these hands with me. Same time, 10 and 12 Central Time. I'll actually be in Beaumont, Texas next week at a regional. So if some of you guys are coming down there, we can do the webinar together. Have a great week. Take these concepts, add them to what you're doing. And if you have any questions, send me email or post it on the blog there. And I'll be sending out the video and hands later on today, and I'll be sending out the invite for next week as well later on today too. So have a great week at the bridge table, and I look forward to seeing you online. And thank you so much for joining me today for Defend These Hands. And I hope you had as great a time as I did, because I did. Bye-bye.